Welcome to 1,000 Days of Trading. My name is Komar Mead, aka Akbar the Prophet. Um, in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my 2025 outlook for two of the pairs that I trade futures in, and then I have a couple of cryptocurrencies that I do have a long-term hold on. Um, I don't really speak too much on fundamentals because I'll be honest with you, that's not my expertise. Over the next you know year or so, I will be getting more familiar. I do plan on, educating myself with some online courses in the fundamental realm, portfolio management. But for now, I spent the last 10 years pretty much learning all types of, methods of technical analysis. I spend most of my time now pretty much viewing the market through a definitions based um, perspective, primarily with time series analysis and how time series analysis helps to identify trends. So it's a very methodical approach. But let's get into this video. But before we do, I do want to go over a little bit of a disclaimer. The information provided in this show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial advice. Investing in markets involves risks, including the potential loss of principal. Always conduct your own research or consult with a financial advisor before making investment decisions. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and I am not responsible for your investment decisions. With that being said, up first, I got the Russell 2000. Now, this is a pair that I do trade on a daily basis, probably the main asset that I do trade. And so far this year, we've created up once again higher highs. Um, and prices within these last 2 months have definitely pulled back some. Not a super significant decrease in price, but we're looking at probably about like almost 10%. Right, prices have pulled back since since November. A couple of things that we got going on this year, as far as impactful for small businesses, with Donald Trump coming into office. We're thinking about or taking into consideration his plans for um, putting tariffs on imported goods. Things like that could potentially hurt some small businesses depending on how much they rely on importing products. Other things that he's looking forward to doing, deportation of citizens or non-citizens, excuse me. Something like that could have a significant impact on the labor force. You know, People in the industry are saying industries like agriculture and construction could be impacted the most by this. So, just a couple of things to, kind of look out for. Even his plans to remove the taxes on tips, something like that's going to have a huge impact on the hospitality industry. That's an industry that I'm familiar with, spent the last 10 years in hospitality. Kind of as I was learning, data analysis within the markets, kind of teaching myself that on the side as a full time hospitality professional. So something like that's going to be impactful. It could mean that businesses now have to spend less resources on hiring and training because they're going to get a little bit better retention from their employees, especially if they're making decent hourly wages, and then they get to keep most of their tips, and they're not having to worry about paying the taxes on that. And then if we look back to 2017, whenever Trump first got into office, so November was a bullish month. Whenever he won the election, going into the 2018 year, you can see prices pretty much remained bullish the majority of the year. And over the course of his term, market didn't really do much, specifically in the Russell. Everybody knows during COVID, prices came down, found a nice low, and then markets have pretty much kind of been consistently finding higher highs in the following years, pulling back a little bit in 2022, 2023, kind of just consolidate and kind of figure out where prices are really going to go. And you can see by the ending of 2023 in October, prices it found a new low, and just barely. A lot of people would consider that type of formation a double bottom formation. It does break this previous 2022's low just barely, but it does end up creating a nice, strong, bullish engulfing candle, and then kind of price remained strong all the way until pretty much I want to say November. November of this past year. So as prices move along, kind of following that trajectory, prices being in an uptrend, this being a higher low that price created from compared to the lows that were created in 2020. We do have new highs created at to close out 2020. Excuse me, to close out 2024. So the expectation now is for price to create higher lows if we are to remain in an uptrend. Very first thing that we should expect is for price to create higher lows. So some areas that I'm looking at on the Russell are going to be prices right around 1992.8. After that, I'm going to be looking at prices around 1904.8, and then the last area is going to be previous year's low. So as long as prices maintain above the previous year's low, the expectation is that there can be some bullishness, hopefully targeting higher highs, higher than this year's highs, being the all-time highs of Russell so far. So as far as what I'm looking at, kind of starting out the year, the expectation is for things to be continued to be bearish, kind of following that momentum. If you see, just looking at how things are kind of playing out on the MACD, we definitely can start to see a slight divergence. Prices didn't really go higher here, but nonetheless, they did create higher highs as it should in an uptrend. But we are seeing that divergence here on MACD, kind of giving us an indication that the upwards momentum of this is starting to die out a little bit. You can see that it's been pretty strong over the past 2 years, and now things are kind of starting to take a turn. Even though price was creating higher highs, the overall momentum was not there. And then not only that, but the cumulative volume delta has also been decreasing significantly, even though prices have been increasing towards the end of this year. So we can already see, prices already had a reaction to that come, the end of December, and that's pretty much where we currently are. So what I definitely want to be looking for, if I'm looking at something that's going to be happening over the first quarter of the year. um let's see, I want to be looking at the first quarter of the year. Let me make some adjustments here. And All right, here we go. All right, so over the next quarter of the year, kind of following that idea that prices are going to be heading lower, because we still do have, nice strong bullish movement here. Whenever we're looking at a 3 month perspective, I will say that I would like to see some sort of failure within this current leg of the market. So something within here, a failure kind of prices to create new highs and then prices pushing back down. That would definitely be something that would be nice to see. First target definitely being that 1992.8 level for some shorts to start out the year. So for right now, I haven't placed any trades. We're only 2 days into the new year, so no worries. Not really missing out on anything there. But every week I will come on here and kind of just update you on what is going on and kind of where I'm gonna be. Kind of what trades I'm going to be placing specifically on Russell and silver. And then I'll briefly touch on these other, long-term cryptocurrencies that I am holding. So moving on to silver. Silver is one of those things right now. There's, some news saying that, silver is pretty much going to be taking a turn, for the worse. And I'm gonna take a look at that and see if I can find anything that would suggest that prices are gonna be going in that direction. So as far as I can tell, there's some um, financial institutions that are predicting that prices are going to hit about $36 to $38 within the next year. So let's just say 36, 38 is, let's just do 38 on the high end, right around there. So we got some, expectations of price hitting these hot, 36 to $38 within 2025. And that kind of lines up perfectly with where I would expect prices to go to if we were to, kind of continue to be in an uptrend. What I do see on silver as well is that we're likely to see um, some pullback before we do find a nice base in 2025 in order to continue going bullish. Typically, from highs, prices want to create new lows, and areas that I look at for new lows to be created are going to be, previous areas within a price that shows a unwillingness of sellers to continue to sell, and then buyers kind of stepping into the market and being fairly aggressive. So that's what I look at for whenever I'm trying to determine where's a new low potentially going to be formed. So that's going to be around 2650 going into 2025. So what I like to see as of right now, within the next week or so, let me adjust that perspective again. Over the next quarter, I would like to see. Um, yeah, this is nice. That's a good kind of the way that sets up. So, I would like to see from a high prices create lows. So we do have a low right here. Um, so I'm thinking that if price fails here, even here, to create new lows, then I would like to see that as potential for prices to go higher. Would definitely like to see, if price does fail to break these levels, I would expect that price would at least break these highs here, As far as getting to that $38 mark right away, um, I think that we would need probably a little bit more commitment than what's happening on a week to week basis, or at least, I'm sorry, a quarterly basis. But if prices do create new highs after failing to create new lows, where prices currently stand, over the next 2 weeks, I'd say, as long even if at the end of this week, price closes um bullish, I think that would be a good indication that we're going to see some bullishness, to kick the year off on silver. There is some news suggesting that um prices are going to be kind of pulling, or dropping on silver. Obviously gold always takes most of the attention, but I do like trading silver on a day-to-day basis. Contract size works for me. And again, we kind of have that divergence on the MACD, and then we also see the divergence on the cumulative volume delta, right? As prices are creating higher highs, the volume is not matching. We're seeing less and less bullish volume, even though prices are going higher. And that's typically an indication that prices are gonna start moving in another direction. And we've started to see that ever since uh, October. And maybe we'll start to see a nice failure to create new lows in this area, and then we can see some bullish strength to start out the year. Moving on to XRP. XRP's had a very explosive couple of weeks. Pretty much like stayed in a consolidation range since March of 2022. Nothing really happened, and just had an explosive movement here since October. Looking at about a 463% return on XRP. I do have a couple of coins invested in myself. It is something that I'm looking at, long term. I like the utility of it, and sometimes I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist, or I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I believe in conspiracy theories. But if XRP goes to $34,000 per token, that would be kind of fun for me. So I other than that, I do respect the utility of what the company is trying to do with the coin. Therefore, that's something that I kind of could get behind, and put a couple dollars in there and see what happens in 10 years kind of situation. XDC is another one of those tokens. I was fortunate enough to get in this token fairly early, probably around when it was half of a penny. So I have seen some, kind of explosive growth so far. But again, this is one of those tokens where, the expectation um, for the company is that at its full capacity, that the utility of this coin, based on what they're estimating on, the kind of businesses that they attract to do business with them, and they primarily focus on financial institutions in order to settle transactions and move money. Their expectation is that the coin should be within that low triple digit range, something around like $120 per se. So this is something that, again, see what happens in the next 10 years type of situation. I got a good couple thousand of these tokens. So if it hits, $100, $70, $80, it'll be a fairly decent investment for me. Moving on to XLM. This is one of those tokens. I think that has some fairly interesting utility to it. There are a lot of companies that are currently building on their platform, and it's something that was kind of a nonprofit organization, affiliate ties to IBM. And I felt like, with a company of that size, as long as they've been in the game, putting their kind of stamp of approval early on in the crypto space, it was something that I was interested in a couple years back. So again, one of those things that I'm just looking at, like, hey, just to get my feet wet in the crypto space, on some more long term things, because I do primarily trade futures, mostly just Russell 2000 and silver at this point. But I did want to get my feet wet in having some a long term crypto holdings other than Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Some of the bigger names out there. But that's going to be all for this week. Tune in next week with me. I'll try to find a consistent schedule for putting these videos out. Probably going to be on a Sunday. But tune in every week with me, do a weekly review of what's been happening in the market. We'll see if I've been right on any of my calls. Hopefully I will be. And then maybe I'll start to uh explore other assets, to just give a broader perspective on the markets in general. So if you gotten any value out of this video, find it fairly interesting, go ahead and give me a follow on here. Most of these things are coming directly from uh TradingView's platform, but I will be posting on other platforms as well. So I'll see you guys next week.